I move to open the Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting of February 15th, 2023. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. As always, we are under the hybrid model, and anyone may zoom in the event of technology failure. The hearing will continue in this room and can be accessed after the fact on Marshfield television. So we have the minutes of January 4th and January 18th. Does anyone have comments on those minutes at this time? You have not already provided them to Michael? No? Okay, in that case, I move to accept the minutes of January 4th, 2022 as edited. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the minutes of January 18, 2022, I move to accept as amended. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Our first order of business is 46 Bay Street tree removal. Is this Mrs. Pieri?
Yes, it is.
Okay, would you like to explain?
That's a wonderful picture of my backyard, and as you can see, the trees are kind of positioning themselves like dominoes. There's one on the left that's actually two trunks at once. The root is completely exposed, and at least two others are very tilted, as you took a great picture of.
Yes.
So I'd like to cut them down if I could.
I'd like to add too, most of the root systems are above ground, and the ones leaning to the root system are partially exposed as well.
Yeah, I saw your photos, so they're pretty much finished. Did you hear from commissioners on this for de minimis?
Yes, we've received two.
You had two commissioners. I have no issue with this. Does anyone else
I
have?
have a question.
Go ahead.
It's only the bent, the bent ones, right? The ones that have fallen, you're not
Right,
talking about
not
anything
that
else?
one on the left there that the circle is going around. That one's fine, but no, the cedars that are like in a domino configuration, yes.
Cedars are about the only thing that will grow in there, and you want to keep them whenever you can, but
If they
the
wanna
other ones won't
reseed-
grow.
Yeah, if they want to reseed themselves, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, their root systems are.
I'm familiar with, I live down the street.
Okay.
Okay, in this case, I vote to issue a de minimis activity for the removal of the leaning and fallen trees. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Now, do I get an order or something?
Yeah, I'll issue you a de minimis activity to do that in the next 21 days.
Okay, terrific, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. All right, next up is Recreation Trails Committee for the Pratt Farm Bog Bridges. And I see Ned Bangs here to present to us.
Yes, thank you. And we'll probably see you in another month or two, I'm sure. Seems to be recurring. Ned Bangs, Recreation Trails Committee. And this is access to Pratt Farm from Willow Street. Michael was kind enough to walk with me on Tuesday morning to take a look, take some pictures and dimensions of what the proposed foot bridges would be, length and width. So we have some that are before one bridge. You can see the bridge just starting at the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And whether these came here by water or people, needs to be cleaned up. We propose cleaning it up. And it's still wet there too, and we want to put the bogboard bridge far enough that we're starting on dry land, and it will go to the bridge. This picture, this is on the left, shows what was a rather narrow section has grown by leaps and bounds to how wide it is now. Where the where that cursor is now, someone's been laying down some branches to walk on. On the right-hand side, it goes around the larger tree, so it's just becoming, what was small is becoming large right now. And so what we'd like to do is build 2 bog bridges, similar to what you see down below. The one on the left is at Furnace Brook Watershed, and the one on the right is a sample of what we plan to do, what we talked about last week or a couple weeks ago for the Furnace Brook Watershed. And we'd look to work, to build the bridges so people will walk on them instead of around and over, etc.
Does anyone wish to comment?
Yep.
Okay. You are going to need ZBA
ZBA?
and floodplain per the building commissioner.
Okay.
Site plan approval with ZBA. So, but we have no issues with it, so I move that we vote to implement the bog bridges as a de minimis activity. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Super. Thank you. I will
Thank you, Ned.
start the process this week with building.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Ned. Always a lot of work.
Thank you.
Okay, we have 8 continuations, starting with SE 42 2958, 274 Foster Avenue. I move that we vote to continue to the March 1st public meeting per written request of the applicant's representative. May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is SE 42 2987, 1184 Ferry Street. I move that we vote to continue this to the March 1st public meeting as per the written request of the applicant's representative. May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Next is SE 42 2990, 17 Oregon Road. I move that we vote to continue to March 1st, 2023, as per the written request of the applicant's representative. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42 3024, 146 Dakota Street. I move that we vote to continue to March 1st, 2023, as per the written request of the applicant's representative. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42 3023, 8 Branch Street. I move that we vote to continue to the March 1st public meeting per the written request of the applicant's representative. May I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42 3026, 6 Trounce Island. I move that we vote to continue to the March 15th, 2023 meeting per the written request of the applicant's representative. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And lastly, SE 42 3015, 60 Foster Ave. I move that we vote to continue to the 3/15/2023 public meeting per the written request of the applicant's representative. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, on to the public hearings. First up is 92 Nantasket Street. This is a new hearing. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, February 15th, 2023, to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by Edward and Christine Strawn at 92 Nantasket Street. And I am the hearing officer. Can I confirm with you that we have
taxes and administrative requirements
Yes.
confirmed? Okay. This is in a buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. And is there someone here to present this project?
Yes, hi everybody, this is Rick Savant from Stenbeck and Taylor, how are you?
Hi, Rick, we're good. How are you?
Excellent. So yes, this RDA, these homeowners are hoping to do some new work to the back of the house. As he stated, the existing single-family home there on Nantasket Street is got a section of BBW on the southerly end of it that the house is in close proximity to. You see all the buffers that are on there. Currently, there's also a flood zone that is right behind the house. We are actually out of it. It's very close, but there was an 89 that just, as Mike's showing you there, right across the back of the proposed work. It's in the existing lawn area. Currently, they have at the rear of the house is an existing deck and a kind of a concrete pad with a slider entry. Which Mike had a little picture of it there, yeah, right at the back. What they're hoping to do is extend that existing deck 4 feet. My understanding is they're going to leave the deck that's there, but literally extend it 4 feet. But then also, to the west of the deck, build a new 16 by 16 screen porch. That'll be elevated at the same height as the upper level. All this new work will be supported by diamond piers. From the architecturals that I looked at, it looks like there's going to be 5 diamond piers right on the southerly edge of it. And a set of stairs coming down to the ground, as you can see there. That's essentially what these folks are hoping to do. The closest point of the work is the 32 feet that I have shown there for the BBW that was flagged by South River Environmental. And that's essentially what they're hoping to do.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to add anything, Mike?
No, that's essentially it. There is a sliver of the existing fire pit within the 25-foot setback to BBW. But that fire pit, as noted in this site picture, bear with me a second, is entirely pervious in that area, and it's just gravel and a few cobblestones. Wetlands expand and contract over time, so it's possible it was built outside of 25 originally.
One question I have, Rick, is when they build that out an additional 4 feet and add the other porch, it looks like that's going to come right up to where that fire pit is.
Yes.
And that fire
Yes.
pit's already in a tiny bit inside the 25, so
Yes.
that fire pit can't move back. So we need to either make a condition regarding that, or they need to understand they're as far back as that's going to go. And I don't think you want to be having a fire right under your deck.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know what their plan is for that, but does it make sense to put a couple of conservation markers on the 25?
Sure. I think I see Christine zooming in here. I don't know, Christine, if you could maybe chime in on what the plans are with that fire pit. I know it's there, and like Mike says, it's a pervious area, but yes, there is a small corner of the new work is going to be right up against it. And I don't know if they can move that or relocate that somewhere. I know they were hoping to keep it where it was, but I understand what you're saying. So he's saying, Craig, if we leave it?
I mean, if they leave it, I don't have a problem. But
Okay.
it just, when I look at your drawing there,
Yeah.
the back edge of that is right on top of the fire pit.
Yes, it is.
So,
The ring of the fire pit, but yes.
yes, the ring.
Sure.
So if they're comfortable leaving it there, I don't have a problem with that, but if they intend to move it, it has to move to one side or the other,
Yep.
where it's gonna be clearer. And
Yeah, to try and get it out, away from the structure and out of the buffer zone.
and out of the buffer zone, yes.
Yep. My understanding is that they're hoping to keep it there,
Okay,
but yes, yes. They don't plan on moving it unless we require to.
Okay, if they do need to move it, it can't go back, it can only go
Yep.
laterally.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments?
Did you say conservation markers?
I said I think it might be a good idea to put a couple of conservation markers on the 25 to the, from the way I'm looking at the drawing, to the left of the fire pit where it arcs out to its furthest out point. And then maybe another one on the curve of where it curves out. Yeah,
Yeah, over there, sure. Yeah.
just to make clear that you're in the 25 there.
And that first one, Craig, we were talking about, like maybe you can cursor where over to the left of the fire pit up near the
Yeah,
property
can
line,
you,
on the
in
25
a little
that area?
further where it kind of dips in a bit? A little bit further?
Oh, right here?
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, yep, yep.
So it's not, it's not right in the middle of their lawn area, but it's gonna delineate that 25.
Sure, yep.
Okay. Are there any other commissioner comments?
Makes sense.
Anyone in the audience?
We have a revised site plan naming those two conservation
The
markers.
conservation markers? You heard that,
Sure.
Rick?
Yes, I did, and that's not a problem at all.
Okay. Is there any comment from the public, either in the room or on Zoom? Hearing none, I move to close and issue the determination of applicability, +5 and -3, with standard special conditions, plus conservation markers.
Perfect.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much, have a great night.
You too. Okay. Next up is 22 Main Street, also a new hearing. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, February 15th, 2023, to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by Carolyn Wills Barberi of 22 Main Street, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Karen.
The administrative requirements are confirmed to have been complete. So again, this is an RDA for the removal of an underground storage tank. Tank's not been in operation since the 1970s, and is anyone here, you're nodding your head, okay.
Yes.
Are you Mr. Salvetti?
Yes, good evening. Joe Salvetti, here on behalf of the applicant, Carolyn Wills Barberi, who's basically the executrix of her mom's estate. I'm here with her brother, and that's basically what we're trying to do. It's a small tank in the corner of the house, right in the gravel parking lot. We're within the buffer zone of the inland bank to the south river, as you can see. This is the Lord Randall bookstore right across from Hubbards Company. And so we're doing some housekeeping, and one of them is to get rid of this tank. It's been there for a while, and we don't expect any issues. We expect to be in and out in a day, and no altering, no grading, no disturbing, except for, of course, excavation, backfill, clean fill. We'd have erosion control around the southern portion of the parking lot. Essentially, that whole area, that whole dog leg is a gravel parking lot. And we keep the erosion control there for the day, and as long as really the commission sees that it need be. But we're basically replacing like with like. Take out the tank, backfill, clean ground.
Okay, do you have any comments, Mike?
Not particularly. Seems like a pretty straightforward project.
And it's a lot of eyes around this. Obviously, you have to get a permit from the fire department.
Yes.
Floodplain permit, which you already have, and you have a licensed site professional will be on site during excavation yourself.
Yes.
And, okay. And,
Right, we'll go for the tank permit. We kind of wanted to get through this process
Right.
first, just to see where we are. And we can certainly notify you folks when we're out there and We will be using a licensed vinyl contractor.
Yeah.
We'll do screening, and we will work with the fire department to get the inspection done that day.
So that, I don't really have any other questions. Commissioner questions?
No, seems like a positive.
I think it's a great idea. Why did they stop using the tank?
Probably back in the 70s when Mrs. Wills bought the property, there was already an above ground in the basement. And this tank had been drained and left there. So it just, one of those to-do things that never got done.
I presume from listening to you that there is the intent to take a look at what's left underneath that
Absolutely.
tank.
Yeah,
I
part
don't
of the
remember all of those
requirements.
rules well enough to comment on them anymore, but
Yeah.
thank
And
you.
if you have any problems with oil, the fire department will be there, and you have to do test pits and determine
Correct.
if there's any issues.
Yeah, we'll have instrumentation there, we'll be
Right.
prepared to do some sampling. I remain overly optimistic.
Hopefully that-
Let's hope you're not overly optimistic.
Not overly, thank you, yes. Appropriately optimistic.
But the grade, it's a very flat, level
Yes.
area, pretty much right
Yeah.
to the inland bank, which is actually the stone wall,
Correct.
which keeps the river, so it's all packed gravel
That's a
and.
good, that's a nicer picture than mine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is anybody on Zoom that has any questions, anybody in that audience? And anybody in the room seeking to comment? All right, well, seeking no further comments, I'll make a motion to close and issue a determination of applicability on positive number 5 and a negative 3, which means you're good to go with special conditions.
The standard special
Standard,
conditions,
right.
and then during work, ensure that erosion control is in place and do not use hay.
Yeah, we'll use wattles, straw wattles.
Perfect.
Thank you.
May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Hope it all goes well.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Yep, hope your optimism pays off.
Hopefully it
Have a good evening.
Okay, next up, 93 Central Street, also new. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection
If
Act,
you want to.
and Code of the Town of
This is
Marshfield,
the
Chapter
extent of the plan.
294, Wetlands Protection. A public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, February 15th, 2023, in the, excuse me, to consider the notice of intent filed by John Taylor of Taylor Marine Corporation, and the hearing officer is Vice Chair O'Donnell.
Thank you. Mike, could you confirm taxes, abutters, and DEP number?
Yep. Taxes, butters, and DEP number came in today.
Okay, thank you. And,
Thank you.
sir, could you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Tom Pazurski of Merrill Engineers in Plymouth. I'm the Marine Services Director for the company. John's proposing maintenance dredging. We have it, floodplain permit already filed. We have all our state, we have a special permit still pending, which will be filed in the very near future. We have, as you know, the notice of intent filed before you, the Army Corps of Engineer water quality certificate and ACO permits are in process right now as well. And this is the federal navigation channel. It's tying into where the town and the federal dredges are all taking place. This is the footprint of the dredges. You can see they've got all the floats inside here. And like all the other dredges we have permitted, we're going basically down to about elevation minus 5.5 with a 1 foot overdig. And there's 7,150 cubic yards of material that's going to be moved. And we are proposing oceanside disposal for the Cape Cod disposal site. And the typical protocol, the lead agency on this is going to be the Army Corps of Engineers. They will issue a sampling analysis plan, so we have to do pre-dredge sampling. They'll confirm the disposal site. We'll have a dredge contract come in, a licensed dredge contract to dispose this off-site, and then there'll be a post-dredge survey to make sure that it was done correctly, and then I will certify it. So that's basically it.
Thank you. Mike, any comments?
That particularly follows the same footprint as previous dredge projects in that area.
Are you familiar with the history, how many times this area's been dredged, or
You mean Taylor Marine or the whole area?
Taylor Marine? Okay, I did happen to talk to the harbor master yesterday, and he said this is the exact same project that was done approximately 10 years ago.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Done about every 10 years.
And Marina's been there probably 50-plus years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Seems pretty straightforward to me. I'd like you to open it up to the other commissioners.
I have no,
No comment?
it's the same project.
The only thing, the ongoing condition to come back, could you explain that, Mike?
Yeah, that was something that was implemented on the Gray project a few months ago. I didn't know if that was something the commission wanted to put in again. It was an insert under after construction allow for the perpetual maintenance dredging, and then if approved by the commission. And that
I'd be
was-
inclined to go for that on this one because it's been done successfully, by the same applicant
Okay.
for a number of times here.
You could condition the same footprint or something like that too.
Yeah.
And to give the commission comfort in that, when additional dredges are done, the town provided with filings, with the core filings and everything, so you'll see that everything matches as they go forward.
Yeah, we had a lot of discussion about this on the first one that we gave ongoing conditions to, and I was a little more hesitant there because, as far as I could tell, it was the first time that had been done.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I've got that one, I permitted that as well.
yeah. Anything else from commissioners? I'd like to open it up to the public. Any comments?
That was my question.
Okay, so
That's it.
that's it.
Is this project going on kind of simultaneously with the Great
Yeah,
project?
we're trying to get them all up at once.
Yeah.
Except you'll have the federal channel with the Coal Probably first.
Yep.
So we got a whole bunch of them up through the state and federal regulators, so we sort of log jammed them up there now, so we're just waiting for them.
So just to refresh our memories, which ones are those?
Okay, you presently have the Yacht Club, which is probably the first one, that's underway right now, I believe. Then you're gonna have the Federal Navigation Channel, which is town of Marshfield, then there's another town of Marshfield one. And then I have Safe Harbor, Green Harbor Marina, I have Bob Gray, and I have Taylor. So we're all gonna try to work together, I'll be working with Mike to get as many bids as we can and figure out how we can schedule it, keep the cost down for everybody.
And it's
It
all,
really helps if it's all sequenced together.
And it's
Our
all-
firm worked with the town to do the same at Plymouth.
all the same equipment, all the same methods?
All same equipment,
Same equipment, same methods?
same method, yeah. Not necessarily the main contractor, same contractor, because when you do so many of these at once, for example, Plymouth had 4 or 5 contractors in there piggybacking. And it'll be well coordinated because they have limited time of year restrictions. So you'll know when it's going on, because there'll be a lot of stuff going on, and it'll all be professional dredges bringing it in, taking it out, and believe it or not, they're not, if the permits all line up and everything lines up, they'll be in and out of there in a very short time frame. It's a pretty impressive operation when you see it going on. And it's a pretty good operation environmentally, because it gets rid of the material, the sediment that's settled out, it gets tested, taken away, and it helps reduce prop wash and everything else. It gives you a much healthier water column when everything's said and done.
Very good. Mike, are there any special conditions?
I'd recommend the standard special conditions, the ongoing maintenance dredging after construction that was discussed, and then during construction of work, that any comments from the Mass Division of Marine Fisheries shall apply.
Okay, thank you.
One question. When do you anticipate?
I would say next winter.
Would make sense.
Yeah, next winter. It's usually, that's about the ideal time frame, right around Christmas and January, that time. Division of Marine Fisheries will dictate to the regulatory agencies in court the species that need to be taken care of. You're gonna have CZM piping in, and because of the winter flounder spawning season and everything else, they'll all be in the same window.
Thank you. Is that good, Joe?
About a
Yes.
6-week window generally.
I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and issue special conditions. Have I got a second?
Second.
Second, David. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, folks.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. We are on to Zero Ferry Street. This is a continued hearing, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Ring.
Thank you. So this is a dock that we did discuss at our last meeting, and I believe, Greg, you're here this time to talk about?
That's correct.
Whoa. Okay, I'm sorry, I skipped.
I was going to do that.
I'm
was
sorry,
just
I
checking
skipped
the
one.
order.
Started?
You've started, so, yeah. Sorry.
Thanks for moving me.
I'm not used to double-sided paper.
Sorry about that.
Thank you for the double-sided paper.
Trees from conservation.
I know, I approve of it, but yeah, okay. Carry on.
So Rick, you want to bring us up to date since last meeting?
Sure. Yeah, for the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the property owners Thomas Lauer and Stephanie Bauman. As was just stated, this is a residential dock application. We had our initial notice of intent meeting 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at this point. The dock itself is on the South River. It is a 161-foot-long pier, a 30-foot aluminum gangway, and a 10 by 20-foot float. We have conducted the dock walk with the building inspector, the harbor master, and representatives of your department as well previously. The zoning board of appeals granted this unanimous approval for the dock location. DEP wetlands had no comment other than it will need waterways division chapter 91 license, which would be our next step after we obtain an order of conditions. At the last meeting, there were 2 issues that were brought up with respect to the local regulations in the application. I submitted a letter on February 8th, I believe addressing both of those issues. The first one was with respect to a variance from your local regs 304E1, which has a requirement that the maximum extension of a dock cannot exceed half of the water frontage of the property. What I explained in the letter, this lot here, when you look at it with respect to the other lots abutting it, and certainly in that area, is the largest water frontage lot. Has approximately 274 feet of water frontage. That would allow, per the regulations, 137 feet of extension beyond the mean high water line out into the river. What we have proposed is 184.9 feet, so it's approximately 48 feet beyond the regulation. I provided 4 other dock locations on the street or in the vicinity of this dock that all greatly exceed the maximum extension and are more than 2 to 3 times the requested variance than what we have. The variance is necessary in this case to get out to a water depth that meets your water requirements where the float is and for access to the channel. The length of the dock matches almost identically the docks on either side of it. The second was with respect to section 304E5 of your regulations, which has a statement, no dock may extend further from shore than 25% of the width of the linear waterway at mean low water, except where the location of the channel shall dictate otherwise. We don't feel that we need a variance from this. We feel that the location of the channel with respect to the South River at this location dictates the location of the float and the length of the pier. I did provide the measurements at this location, the width of the waterway at mean low water being about 250 feet. That would only allow a pier at this location to extend out 62.5 feet from the land. When you look at our application from where the dock starts to the outer beam of the boat is what your regs require. It's approximately 215 feet. Again, that's the length that's required to get out to where there's 30 inches of water underneath the float and all of the boat during all tide events. It's consistent with the docks on either side of it. It's been blessed by the zoning board and the harbor master at that location. Turn it over to you.
Thank you. Commissioner discussion? So I will comment that this is one of the new docks since these new regs went in, and the docks that are existing there are under the old rules. And the length out into, and the dimensions that we're talking about were actually from the harbor master based on his readings of all of the applicable rules that he had to deal with. And that was one that he really wanted to see in there when we went through the new rules, is the length. It does stick out quite a distance, and it is a lot more than what he was looking for when he put forth his rule.
I obviously can't speak on behalf of the harbor master, but there's a lot of different locations in town where docks could be permitted. You know, Green Harbor, the North River, the South River, so on. This location on the South River isn't dredged. It's not a hard and fast cut river where there's a steep embankment. In order to get out to a water depth that's appropriate, given that the topography is extremely flat, you know, essentially mud flat that you're going out over, it's necessary in a case like this. You know, if this was Green Harbor or the North River, where you have a defined cut where the river is potentially dredged and you have depth much closer to shore, I can understand the regulation. At this location, I don't. This doesn't impede on the channel. It doesn't impede on the mooring field either. This is landward of both the mooring channel, the moorings and the channel itself.
I would make the same comment that I made last hearing, is these other docks cited as examples. I think I was not involved in the revision of the dock rules, but from what I understand, this is the type of dock that we were trying to limit because it really it has a large impact on the visual aspects, being aesthetics, which is one of our things that we consider, and also the ability of recreational boaters, being kayakers or paddle boarders or people using sailboards, anything like that, to use the tidal flats, you know, during the high tide when I'm not sure of the exact definition of navigable at that point, but certainly those kind of small craft could be used in that area. And once these docks are in place, you lose the use. So I think that's why we changed the rules, and you know, a number of us voted on that and supported it.
So I would agree that certainly was amongst the reasons that we put those in, and I think the only way to move with this is a variance, and you know, not having compliance with those, we have to have some kind of reasoning that gives us something on the, let's call it the environmental rules or the conservation rules. And at this point, I don't see anything in the proposed package that helps to mitigate some of that.
So looking at the conservation values here, the wetland resource areas, the salt marsh, we're over 6 feet above the salt marsh grass. 5 feet is the minimum requirement. We greatly exceed that. We've provided shellfish mitigation funding for any of the flat areas at the request of the harbor master at the fee that he has established. We've elevated it, you know, up out of floodplain areas as required. So I don't see any impact, measurable impact on those resources. The aesthetic value, there are docks of similar size, maybe they predate the most current round of your regulations, but there are docks of similar size on much smaller lots on either side of this property. Visually, where would you see this from a public road? Ferry Street doesn't exist at this location. If you went to the Bridgeway and you looked down to visually see this dock, you'd be looking through 2 or 3 other docks before you even saw this one, and then you would see 3 or 4 beyond it. The addition of one dock where there's already several others on the Marshfield side of the river, doesn't seem like a measurable impact when you already have that impaired view at that point. Certainly from up top, elevated on Preston Terrace, you see docks not only on the Marshfield side, you see several of them on the Situate side. Of, again, similar size and similar character. So it's not a, I love the view from this location. It's not a pristine vista with no docks, and this is now going to be the only dock out there. There are several others. So I don't know that there's a measurable impact by this one. Regarding recreation, again, this is 6 feet above the flats at a minimum, and as the tide goes down, it only becomes higher and higher as you're out in the water. There is significant distance between the islands. You could certainly get a kayak between those. The kayak could also go on the outside by the mooring field. It could go out to the channel. There's room to get around this dock without infringing on where the real boat traffic is, which is the channel. You can still be well outside the channel and kayak around this structure or under the structure if you really wanted to.
How wide is the channel here?
The channel here,
He's going to come up with.
I'm thinking of boat
One sec.
traffic and recreational users crossing paths.
about 50 feet wide, this location. That's the real channel out in the middle that has the channel markers on it. At mean low water, from edge to edge, Situate to Marshfield side, it's about 250 feet of water across it.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with that area. I honestly don't think that's too much of a problem.
Okay.
It's mainly the loss of, for small craft and.
And I think one of the things we need to consider is the collective impact of a line of docks at some point.
Yeah, that's, I think when these regs were revised, that was part of the thinking, that,
Yeah,
It's gonna be
I
walked
truly
from-
wish we had revised them about 4 docks ago in this location.
yeah.
Can I just offer just an observation here? My name is Thomas Lower. I'm the owner of the house, and basically I'm the applicant. I just want to react and offer my perspective. So the property is abutted on one side by a neighbor on the south, which has basically the same dock. And the north, the property is right next to our grandpa, who has no interest of building a dock. And the next property is building a dock of the same length. So there will not be any additional dock. This is just the only dock that will live in this area. And in terms of the recreational aspect, so I'm letting my neighbor just north of my property who do not have water access to put his little craft. He keeps it in the summer and he's very happy. He's very supportive of the dock because I will let him use it occasionally. And 80% of the usage of that area between these 2 docks are basically the kids in our family, because the 2 pieces of land, it's our family. It's basically 8 kids who are paddle boarding every day in the summer, and I can guarantee that all of them are very supportive, and they would offer a strong support for the dock here. So just to offer a perspective, just practically.
You want to respond to that?
One of the things that we offered last meeting was to combine these lots as justification for the variance. And that gives us something that comes back, if you will. I'm trying to find the simple way to say it. That gives you something to address all of the issues that we talked about and kind of mitigate some of the distance. And that would probably be a favorable view.
So we've discussed this, but it's a complicated ask in terms of estate management between our property and the property, which, at some point will be transferred to the kids. It has a real estate tax issue as well. The ask that you're making is completely understood, and we understand we would like to accommodate, but practically that's going to be the case. This dock is going to be the only dock on the 2 properties used by the kids in the family. but we're just a little bit uncomfortable here from a tax and a state, implications of combining these two properties and having a joint dock.
No, you
I'm
don't
not-
have to combine the properties.
No, but I mean, like, you would have to basically, I would have to basically give access to the dock legally to the house that's just north of mine, correct?
So we looked at the lot next door, even with the water frontage on that lot, it still wouldn't negate the requirement for a variance in this application.
But it would
Doesn't
make
catch-
it a shared dock,
It would-
which is one of the things we mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Joe.
No, go ahead, you've already started, please.
A shared dock, which is cited in our regs as one thing that we would like to see. So it sounds like what you're describing is practically what we would like to see. And it might not get you all the way there, but it would put you quite a bit closer.
And what does that mean, a shared dock? Does that mean that the dock would be recognized on Grandpa's property and would increase his taxes?
I don't believe it would, because it's only the structure. I think what we would have to do is to join the two properties together. That would wind up by simply limiting the ability of that other piece of property, I don't know the description of it, so that you couldn't build a dock on that property.
But that's the concern. If the regulations in the future change, you basically create a handicap on the real estate value of this property in the future, which is problematic a little bit. Not that there's an intent right now, but so ideally we would want to try to see if we could make this project go through without doing this. I mean, there is no interest here, Grandpa, you want to speak, you have no interest of selling your house or building a dock.
Absolutely.
I can completely understand those things, and I think that we also have the other side is
Completely understood.
your family is probably going to own that like my family owns my property for a very extended period of time. And if we were, let's call it gentlemen, we would probably sit down and say that's taken care of, but I don't think that we have that opportunity.
Is it possible to get a picture of
Yeah, I
the
can
the properties so that
bring that up, yeah, definitely.
The assessor's map would probably give it to you, Mike.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm looking it up on the flood map app right now.
I don't think it was in the...
Yes, I'm afraid we have to take the long view. Okay.
Properties are held in different title, there are different beneficiaries to every piece of property. I'm not aware of mortgage contingencies on any of the properties, but, there's a lot to consider when it comes to that. The cleanest legal way is to have it on its own separate freestanding, obviously.
Greg, there may be ways to do it, and none of us in this room are skilled at doing that, and I wouldn't want to propose a way to do that. But somebody who's creative might find a way, if it's their specialty.
So this is the Lauer lot, and this is the almond lot here.
And Greg, the harbor master had no concerns about navigation through that channel?
No.
In that location?
None.
I think the bylaws, I wasn't part of the drafting of those bylaws, but I think they unfortunately triangulate a dock that is almost impossible in most conditions. I'm satisfied with the dock as it's proposed.
Thank you.
That's 326.
Roughly.
So we're much closer, than the 274. 326 divided by 2, right?
Yeah,
160.
It's a rough.
So the variance is much lower.
it is, it goes down, it still doesn't negate a variance though.
That's what.
So at this point, I see it as a real logjam, is that we've got a requirement and we have to do a variance. And do we try to move with the variance and see where we go? Or one of the things that we could do is do a poll to see where people would stand if we were to ask for a variance. and then use that to figure out. Because the other option is for you to ask for continuance so that you can evaluate potential options.
You know, we could do I guess a straw poll on if you think this would meet the criteria, then we could go from there.
So, straw poll? I'll start. No. No variance. Based on the feedback that I've got from the harbor master and the discussions around writing these rules, we argued pretty heavily for it, and he was pretty strong. Ken?
I'm kind of undetermined at this current time. So, I mean,
It's not an easy one.
no.
David?
I'm in favor.
Susan?
I think I'm undecided. I'm leaning towards the variance myself, but I can also appreciate the other side of that too, so.
All right. I wasn't
I'm-
sure if you were ready, but you look like you're still thinking.
I'm a no on the variance as it's currently proposed.
Yes, that's, to clarify, so you understand, as current. Craig?
I'm going to echo Bert. No as proposed.
No, as proposed. So we have, on this table, we have 3 undecideds and 3 noes as proposed.
Okay.
We have 1 yes, 2 undecided, and 3 no's.
I misinterpreted?
That's okay. Yeah, you know, I'm in
Thank you.
favor. I'm in favor of the variance.
Yes, so, thank you for the correction.
No problem.
So if we were, from what I'm hearing, if we were to restrict the property to the north of us, to not have a dock on it, and add that water frontage to this, even though this is the largest waterfront frontage compared to all the other docks up and down the street, that is something that it seems like the majority of the commissioners would support.
I would be in favor of that.
I would.
Yeah.
Can we request a continuance to your next hearing, please?
I believe I just heard a request. May I ask for a continuance on this, or table this until when? The next meeting?
March 1st.
March 1st, based on the applicant's request. Does that have a second?
Second.
Lots of seconds. You could pick who seconded it, because there were too many.
I wrote down Susan.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I see that as a unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Do you
you.
mind just writing a written request? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and next up is 254 Foster Ave, SE 423027, and this is a new hearing in compliance with the regulations of the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. A public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, February 15th, to consider the notice of intent filed by Monique Hubbard, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Dodge.
Right. So, Mike, I'm going to confirm the administrative requirements.
Yes.
Taxes, abutters,
Yep, taxes, fees, butters.
and it does have a floodplain permit. This is Coastal Beach Dune. So, is anyone here to present the project or would like to talk about the project? All right, how you doing?
My name's Steve Worski.
So, go ahead and just tell us a little bit of the project.
Yeah, it's a simple 12 by 20 deck. It's on the opposite side of the house that's on the ocean, and we're going to raise the deck so we meet the minimum of 2 feet. That's basically what we have to do to conform to the regulations.
Okay. So anything else that you want to add?
Nothing at all, no.
Okay. All right, so I guess at this time I'd open up to commissioners, and I guess I'll speak about it first. So this is obviously supposedly a 240 square foot deck that was an NOI to be proposed. It looks like there's some possible work that has been done. It seems like they're trying to do the right thing. They got the floodplain permit, and they're trying to, follow the process. So I don't know if this would have to go for an NOI after the fact, and I would like to basically bring this up to the commissioners. Possibly, maybe he could postpone this to the next meeting and make sure that he gets with the building commissioner and make sure that everything's squared away for the NOI after the fact. So, anyone else?
I'm not sure we have to continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
The building commissioner's issues are the building commissioners.
Okay.
Does anybody else want to chime in on that, or?
I will just chime in and say that I didn't realize that this was more of an after-the-fact case until I did the site visit and saw the deck noted below in the site photo here. Also, additionally, there will be a outdoor shower in proximity to this corner here, and this NOI would get the deck elevated to the proper level and make it in conformance. And it will go on sonotubes.
Yeah, is it actually after the fact? Because it's gonna be changed.
It's going to have to be totally changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, and it's not completely finished, as you
It's
can
not
tell,
built
too.
out, and it
Yeah.
needs to be raised up.
On a technicality, you can call it a not after the fact, because they do have to finish it. That has an advantage for the applicant.
That's true.
So I guess we can make a motion to approve positive determination with special conditions and special conditions -3. Do I have a second?
It would just be vote to issue orders of condition. Sorry to interrupt you there.
To issue orders of condition?
Yep.
All right.
And the standard special conditions would apply.
I will second that for you.
So all in favor?
did we ask for public comments?
Sorry.
I
forgot.
missed that too. Thank you, Bert.
So I guess at this time, we're going to open it up to the audience or anyone on Zoom that would like to comment. Hearing none. So I'd like to make a motion to give this a positive determination 5 and special conditions.
Vote to issue order of conditions.
Vote to issue order of conditions. Sorry, fairly new. And do I have a second?
I will second that again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just make sure you get with the building commissioner.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
We'll issue
Thank
the
you.
permit within
Thanks.
21 days.
Issue it within 21 days.
Yep.
Okay. That completes our public hearings for tonight. We have some requests for certificate of compliance.
Thank you.
There is an update on the Main Street one, I believe.
Okay, let
Sorry to
me-
interrupt you.
Yep, no, that's okay. Let me,
Old Ocean. The
Okay.
SE 421074. Just as a
Okay.
heads up.
let me just run down the way I have them on the agenda here, since I already flipped the agenda once. Sorry about that, Ken.
No worries.
SE 422976, 106 Preston Terrace. This is tabled, no additional information has been received. So when it's tabled,
I don't believe we have to do anything.
we don't
It's
have to
just
do
put
anything.
inside.
Okay.
It's already tabled,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
All right, SE 421074, 36 Old Ocean Street. There have been discrepancies. You have an update, Mike?
Yeah, is Rick Servant still on?
No.
Rick was telling me that I'd like to chime in on this earlier, so I thought he would still be here. But he indicated that the homeowner didn't want to remove that bit of concrete there within the 25-yard setback, but perhaps a discussion of mitigation could come in the future via plantings. But I'll let him speak more on that in
Okay,
the future.
So we will vote to table this until such time that we can speak with the engineer or the homeowner.
Perfect.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
SE 42 1500, 71 Constellation Road. This is also not moving forward, so I move that we vote to table this. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. And the perennial SE 42 2773, 1185 Ferry Street. I vote that we move to table this. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And that concludes our business for tonight. I move that we vote to close the Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting of February 15th, 2023. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.